everyone, it's Mrs. Harwood again. Welcome. Today let's talk a little bit about how eighth notes and 16th notes work together within a beat. Quick review first. A whole note gets divided into two half notes. A half note gets divided into two quarter notes. A quarter note gets divided into two eighth notes. Those eighth notes can be written barred as 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You can bar as many as you want together. They could have an individual flag. That bar could be above or below the note. It can be a part of a bar. Eighth notes can start to look kind of funky as you go through them. But as long as there's one bar or one flag, that's an eighth note. Now 16th notes, similar to eighth notes, can look kind of funky too. But again, as long as that has two bars or two flags on it, so it can look like that, they could look like that, they can look like this, doesn't matter. But we divided this whole note into two, divided the half note into two, divided the quarter note into two, and divide the 16th note into two. And if we do that, you can see that these three are all the same. Your quarter note is worth 1 beat, eighth note is worth half a beat, and 16th notes are each worth a quarter of the beat. The way I count them is with numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Alright, now let's start mixing in the eighth notes and the 16th notes together into different combinations so that you can count them all successfully. Alright, the first combination, let's just write out first of all 4 16th notes so that we have that as our basis. 1, E, and A. Now let's replace 2 of those 16th notes with an eighth note. One, E, and A. So this you'd count 1 E and A, 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 1 and A. If I whisper the note that's within that beat, that seems to make it a little bit easier for me to actually count the rhythm. Let's go the other way. We'll replace the end of the beat with the eighth note. So this is 1, E, and A. So here, this is an eighth note because it only has one bar touching it. This is an eighth note. It has one bar touching it. This 16th note has 2 bars. This 16th note has 2 bars. So this is 1 E and A, 1 E and A, 1 E and A, 1 and A, 1 and A, 1 and A, 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and. What if we put that eighth note right in the middle of the beat? So we'll start with the 16th note, and we're going to end with the 16th note, and in the middle we'll put our eighth note. 1 E and A. 1 E, 1 E, 1 E, 1 E, 1 E, There you go. So that's how these combinations work. Now let's try a dotted eighth note. See if that messes us up at all. So a dotted eighth note is going to take up 3/4 of the beat. So if you put the dotted eighth note at the beginning, 1 E and, the only thing left is the 16th note at the end. That's the only combination that you can have unless you flip-flop it. So let's put the 16th note at the beginning and then the dotted eighth note. 1 E and A. So these are all of the combinations that you can have using notes. Again, you can substitute any rests in at any point in time. An eighth rest looks like this. it would be the same as your 8th note. A 16th rest looks like that, and you could substitute it in for any 16th notes. 1 E and a 1 and a 1 E and 1 E a 1 E. All right, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, e.harwood@comets.k12.mn.us. Otherwise, enjoy and good luck.